There's something I need to do to start recording or say live something. Okay, awesome. And good morning and good afternoon, everyone. And yes, um, quick introduction again about me. I work at Walmart as a full-time employer as an architect in blockchain team. However, within Hyperledger community, I also serve as a technical steering committee for Hyperledger Foundation. And within Hyperledger India chapter, I co-lead with the intention that we bring together the technologies awareness within the ecosystem in here. We try to build a strong community over here, right? We also connect a larger ecosystem and many of these meetings which happen outside of the time zone and try to bring people together and so that they can solve problems that they are interested in or maybe learn from each other from their experiences. Um, so within Hyperledger, Hyperledger, as I said, is an umbrella of projects. There is Hyperledger. It's called Hyperledger Foundation now. It recently got its renamed to Hyperledger Foundation. Within Hyperledger Foundation, as of today, have 18 different projects. There are projects focusing on distributed ledger technologies, and then there are projects focusing on libraries that can be used to build the DLT by themselves, or we could use these libraries to build our technology solutions. Let me quickly share my screen, and I'll share you. Um, so, if you all want to know what are those 18 different projects under Hyperledger, you can all go to landscape.hyperledger.org. And over here, you can see projects which are categorized into multiple categories, right? So there are projects that are distributed ledgers, and then there are library projects, there are tools, and domain-specific project. Quick introduction. I'll briefly talk about each of these projects and which one could you use for the hackathon. At a high level, when we think about using blockchain technology or when we think about using DLT ledgers, we would like to have a place where we create the blocks, right? So where we would be able to run the smart contracts and make some decisions in our flows. So it's, it's the protocol that we call our distributed ledgers that we call. Uh, there are 6 different distributed ledgers available within Hyperledger. These each of them provide their own unique capability. They bring in their own way of working and how they solve a particular problem. For example, if you're all familiar with Ethereum and know how to write Solidity smart contracts, probably Hyperledger Besu would be your go-to solution, right? So you can set up your own blockchain network, which is consortium based, or maybe your own network on your machine for development purpose for that matter, using Hyperledger Besu. And as soon as you go to this specific page, landscape.hyperledger.org, and if you click on the projects and then Hyperledger Besu, it should show up all the relevant links for you, including where can you find more information about this specific project and what's the GitHub link for this project, right? And also what are the latest, what is that happening in that project out in the community. Um, it also has one of the link that I would call out specifically over here. That's the wiki link and the chat link. And you can also find the documentation for each of these projects when you click on one of these project links. And you can go to the documentation, which will detail out the architecture of each of these projects. And there is also a chat link. So Hyperledger uses Rocket Chat as of now for for if you maintainers, or if you want to reach out to the community and ask your questions on how to solve a specific problem statement in any of these specific project, you can always reach out to the chat group over here. This requires you to create a Linux Foundation ID, and that's completely SSO enabled. So as long as you have your GitHub or you have your, let's say, a Google account or Gmail account, you should be able to access these chat. So that's the chat. And then there is a wiki page which also lists some of the prominent use cases that were built using this particular technology. And it would also point you to multiple other resources, including what was the brief history of that project, how it evolved over a period of time, what capabilities does it support. All that information can be found here. And as always, you can go through some of these GitHub repositories if you're unsure of what SDK a particular project provides for your development, right? So, for example, Ethereum requires you to learn Solidity unless you add an adapter on top of your EVM so that you can write your smart contract in some other language. Unlike that, Hyperledger projects generally have uh, 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 multi-language capability. So they don't really depend on a specific language for you to write the smart contract. So they define interfaces for smart contract, and it's highly modular, most of the frameworks within Hyperledger. And having said that, I hope this information would be helpful in your journey quickly. And if you don't really need to remember the links as long as you land to this landscape page of Hyperledger. Um, so majority people, they use Hyperledger Fabric to build their solutions, given that it provides privacy benefits both in terms of creating separate channels for you, uh, so that you can create them amongst your own required parties. And then there is also support of creating um, private data in it, right? So if you want to send data across to another party within, if in your transaction, and you want certain elements of your data that you're sending to be to be kept private only for between you two, or only between, let's say, the known participants that you want to send, and everybody else, you don't want them to see what's happening on the ledger. So then this particular framework provides those capabilities for you to build. And it also has option for you to build the smart contract and the client in language of your choice. It's purely gRPC based communication. So it it has all those SDKs which you can make use of to start building your solution. Um, and also look out for certain projects such as, for example, in Fabric, there is a repository called Fabric Samples. This gives you easy way to bootstrap a network locally on on your own machine, right? Um, and this allows you to for a quick development as well as demonstration purpose. It's purely containerized Docker and Docker Compose based scripts which are available for you. And not just this project, but all the other projects, they do have a Docker Compose file within them that can allow you to quick bootstrap the project. So that's about the distributed ledger technologies. You will you have 6 different options to choose from, and don't be so intimidated with it. All that you need to do is, let's say, if you were to build a solution, you will have to go from the requirement to the solution aspect, right? So start listing down all the requirements that you have. Does your project require multiple parties to share data among themselves? And to what level of privacy do you want to share the data? And also list down, let's say, start exploring what kind of information do you want end users versus the nodes or the parties that are going to host the blockchain network to capture on the network. So these are the kind of questions that you would be asking yourself. And I'm available on the Discord channel if you want to have more in-depth solutioning aspect for your problem statement, or probably we can go do it together, right? And so this is probably what you will be making use of most likely through these through the hackathon days that you're going to work on. And then there are library projects. So these library projects are, um, let's say you are going to work on, you need um, a DID based solution. Let's say you want decentralized identity and you want to write a solution that makes use of verifiable credentials. So Hyperledger Aries is a framework, or rather it's a collection of frameworks. Again, you have choice to choose one of these programming languages. There is a server based agent option, or there is mobile device based agent option. It allows you to write, it abstracts away all those the complexities involved for you to write a DID based solution, right? All you would be making is building an application on top of this Aries project. You will be calling the Aries, let's say in case of Cloud Python agent, there are APIs which you will be calling to build your solution. And there is also a project called, let me share my full screen rather. I think I'll probably go ahead and share my full screen. So there is also a project called chain agent. You can, the way Hyperledger has the GitHub for Hyperledger can be found with github.com/hyperledger. And they said 18 projects. These are listed under Hyperledger. These are not all the projects that you can find for Hyperledger, right? There are more projects that you can find in the Hyperledger labs. This is just the, you can say the graduating status for each of these projects. So new projects that comes up, they evolve over a time under labs. They build a community around that project. They try to groom up, and once that it reaches to certain stage, and it gets proposed to a technical steering committee, who then make a decision of bringing that project into Hyperledger. So over here, you can find again lot many interesting projects. For example, if you are interested in using Fabric and you want a development network on your machine, a quick way to bootstrap a network and start testing your application, let's say your chain code and the client, you can always use a mini Fabric, which is one of the project under Hyperledger Labs, right? Um, so, for example, so mini Fabric, it allows you just download this, you run this on your machine, it brings you up a Fabric network that you expect, and then you can install chain code and make your client work with this particular network. And this could be very helpful for your hackathon demo purposes. And apart from that, if you're interested in identity-based solution or verifiable credential-based solution, then there is a ready project over here, which is business partner Python Hyperledger Aries project, and it's a ready tech stack which uh, which ex- which abstracts you all these concepts from the DID documentation. It you or exchange certain information with these. Um, so yeah, it gives you already tech stack which you can start using. I'll probably switch over to the landscape that I was talking about earlier. And within libraries, so I feel that Aries could be of interest to many of you if you are building solution on the identity and verifiable credentials. And there are other libraries, for example, Transact. If you're interested, let's say outside the hackathon, if you would like to build your own solution and sorry, build your own distributed ledger technology, and you don't want to do everything from scratch, then Transact is a project for you. It provides you building blocks for creating your own distributed ledger technology. And ARSA is purely a cryptography implementation of some of the math libraries, right? So it's a Rust based library if you want your cryptography operations, and you're not, let's say in Rust language, and you're not you're not finding anything for OpenSSL abstraction, then Ursa could be one alternative for you. So it's evolving. So there's too many discussions going on in terms of adding a abstraction for ZKP into Ursa. So it's interesting project to look out for if you're interested in that space. So apart from that, there are tools available within Hyperledger, and I'll specifically talk about one of such project, which is Hyperledger Explorers. So once you, let's say, set up your network either through a mini fabric or some of these samples or Docker Compose files, you need a project, you need a way to see what's happening on your blockchain network. So Hyperledger Explorer is your go-to project for it. Once you have set up your network, all that you need to do is, like, again, this project comes with a local dev-based Docker Compose tool that you can just run and bring up your uh, visualization tool. It allows you to see through what's happening on particular blockchain. It allows you to see the blocks, the various structures, the transactions that were sent, and the nodes that are present in the network. You can see those things using this project. You will have to, however, pass this is brief introduction about all the different projects. As I said, the best way to search for particular projects resources is go to that project within landscape.hyperledger.org and look out for the chart and the documentation links. For chart, when you go to that, it requires you to sign in with your Linux Foundation ID. You can always do SSO using your Gmail or GitHub accounts in order to log in. If once you're logged in, you can directly go to that specific project's chat group and you can start asking your questions over there. You will immediately get a response. So we have a wider community all across globe, and though the majority of them would still be in the US time zone, feel free to raise those questions. And if you're not getting any response, then feel free to ping me on the Discord channel for in the hackathon. So I had a slide deck to go over. However, I um, directly went through some of these links through the landscape page. Hope that was helpful. And probably I'll now pause for a while and ask questions rather. Do you have any questions on how to browse through resources or how to reach out to community? Um, and do look out for another session from David where he will go through. Uh, Hello, can you hear me? So do look out for another session from David Boswell, who is Senior Director of Community. You through some of the other resources on how to get involved within Hyperledger, including the special interest groups and the working groups, and how you can take expertise opinions from them. So you'll find both technical experts as well as domain experts within Hyperledger space. I would request you all to make use of the here to help you out and learn together. That